It is day 22 in the 2018 Utah legislative session, and we had some meaty bills today. We had some pretty serious bills. So we'll start with HB 125, or the duty to assist. And this is a bill that I voted for in committee, but as I came to understand this a little bit better, I actually voted against it on the floor today. Let me explain what this bill does. Is it would make it a crime to be a person who has witnessed some sort of crime occurring, or an accident, emergency situation occurring, that the person has personal knowledge that someone has suffered serious bodily injury, and that they are able to provide assistance, but they don't. And it sounds at first blush maybe reasonable if a person is able to give assistance to someone who's been injured, but they don't. But Representative Merrill Nelson, he was persuasive to me in an argument that I understood to be true. And he said, this is a real departure from hundreds of years of criminal law. And in criminal law, and you've probably even heard me talk about this, is each crime has to have two elements. One is the act itself, that someone commits an act, and that number two is the intent, that they commit the act with the intent to cause the injury that they've caused, and that this is different, that this is really one of the first or few times that we criminalize inaction, and there are some serious ramifications to that. I understand that. I have very serious concerns that in our law we have removed the intent to commit a crime from a lot of our criminal law, but this one gets rid of both. This one, it's not an act being committed; it's an inaction, and then there's not the intent to commit the injury. So the more we discussed it on the floor, the more problematic it was very evident that this bill was, and so I voted against that. But the impetus to the bill was, a really tragic story, and we want to change some of these situations. We want to make law to make sure certain things just don't happen again, but we can't do that in violation of our core principles and our strong body of law and constitutional rights. HB 207. When I first read this, honestly, I felt like crying. It was kind of I don't know. The title of the bill is Fatherhood and Healthy Relationships Initiatives. So that alone, that assumption that the government needs to create an initiative to help fathers in their relationships with their children. So it forms a commission with that purpose. Let me give you an idea of the assumptions. Here's some assumptions. These make assumptions that here are the people who will be put on this commission. So someone from from the following groups: victims of domestic violence, men from a minority ethnic background, at-risk youth, men with a substance use disorder, individuals experiencing homelessness, survivors of domestic violence or sexual assault, tribal government or PTA, and a member from the Violence and Injury Prevention Program. These are the people, these are the groups that the sponsor believed should make up a commission to deal with men. Here's the duty of the commission. The commission shall promote public education concerning the financial and emotional responsibilities of fatherhood. Assist men to prepare for the legal, financial, and emotional responsibilities of fatherhood. Support the establishment of paternity and financial support of a child. Encourage a father to foster his emotional connection to and financial support of his child. establish support mechanisms for a father in his relationship with his child. And this one really gets me. Support efforts to educate men and boys on methods to prevent and interrupt violence and aggression and male health, and support for men and boys in the development of leadership skills and healthy masculinity. I'm raising 4 boys. I'm married to a wonderful husband and father to those 4 boys and our 1 daughter. And I know endless men who are wonderful fathers that understand these responsibilities. And granted, there may be some out there that need some help and need some support in this education. But the message that this sends, that we need to create a government commission to teach boys. So we heard this in a committee last year. We heard this in one of our committees last year. There were people that actually testified that men and boys are naturally going to be sex offenders. They're naturally going to commit sexual assault, and we have to train them out of that. I don't know if I've heard a more offensive thing in my 4 years here. This comes very close to buying into some of those assumptions. It's tragic. I don't like the commercials that mock men, and women are, the smart one in the house, and it's the schlumpy man that can't do anything right. I hate the sitcoms that portray them that way. I, for one, I love the men in my life. From my family to my friends, I hate that they're portrayed sometimes the way they do. Now, there have been some bad actors that have given, they've given men a bad name, but they shouldn't give men a bad name. They should wear the bad name themselves. And it's an unfortunate time in our history. I'm glad that some things are changing in the world of sexual harassment, absolutely. But we shouldn't indict a whole half of a globe as being less human, less prompted by very natural and I believe God-given innate instincts to father. Both of those bills did fail on the floor of the House, and tomorrow's another day.